Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles podcast on Thursday afternoon, presented by Doodad Dental and TrueMark Financial Credit Union. I'm Bo Wulf, and I'm all alone. Last night, we had a wonderful time at the Hard Rock Cafe. Shout out to all the sickos who came by. You will get to see that episode tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Buckle in. It's about 2.5 hours, so you're going to need some time, and it's going to be well worth it. And as for now, I've got nobody. Zach has flown the coop. I'm all alone. And we're here to talk about tonight's preseason opener against the Cincinnati Bengals. I see the people in the chat. How we doing? How's everybody doing? I will be honest with you. After the Ospreys last night, I had some time today with Leah. I haven't thought about this show for more than a minute. So I don't know what we're going to talk about today. I don't know if I'm going to be joined by anybody. You might just be looking at me for an hour. That's the deal. As for tonight, the Eagles play at 7:30 against the Cincinnati Bengals. We will have a nice, quick-hitting post-game recap from that. We will find a nice, familiar spot in the press box. Zach and I will have one final time together, and that's what you will have to tell you about what happens tonight. And then we'll be back. The Eagles practice on Saturday. Sunday night is the open practice at the link, so we'll have some coverage of that. And then Monday at 2 o'clock, we'll be in full force with perhaps a nice debut that you'll be looking forward to. As for what we're going to see tonight, I don't know. I think we'll see a lot of Tanner McKee. I think we'll see a vanilla thing. What usually happens with the preseason is we're all excited. In the first possession or two, it's really exciting. Football is back. This is what we've been waiting for all offseason. And then by like late first quarter, you're like, okay, let's get to the regular season. This is not the real thing. This is a poor approximation. But you want to see how the young players play. You want to see how they move. Can they tackle? A lot of things that they have not been doing in the summer. And you want to see if they're the guys who have been popping at practice to us carry things over. And as FCMBD says, he's just hoping nobody gets hurt. I think that is by far the most important thing. So there you go. Are any sickos going to the open practice? Asks Philly Drone. Let him know. Let him know in the chat. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to the Doodad Dental Bright Smiles for somebody that you should watch tonight. Somebody who deserves the spotlight. And we got to begin with the thumbnail man himself. That's Jihaad Campbell. Now, Jihaad Campbell has been ahead of schedule the entire time in training camp. We weren't expecting him to even be on the field yet. And, of course, he was there day one. And he's been doing all kinds of different things. As Vic Fangio said, they are maybe a little bit guilty of having thrown a little too much on his plate. But I think that is to his long-term benefit and also to the benefit of Fangio to figure out how best to use him, especially with Zack Baun limited at the moment, sidelined. There's a good opportunity for Fangio to, try Jihaad at a bunch of different spots and see what might fit best. As for this game, though, let's see if the violence that he has shown in practice, nearly ending Ben Van Sumeren's career, nearly ending Saquon Barkley's season. Maybe don't do that, Jihaad. But he is a big, strong, powerful man. And you can expect that he's going to be flying around tonight. Although I don't expect he's going to play a ton. I think you'll see him 2 series, maybe 3 series. That's just a pure speculation. But the linebackers will be fun to watch tonight because you think about the preseason games and you want to see the guys who you can't truly evaluate in training camp. And to me, that's like linebackers and safeties primarily because you want to see how they read things and you want to see, can they actually tackle? So Smile Monson, who has had a very good summer, how does he look? Can he carry over that stuff? I've been very impressed with some of the down depth chart linebackers, guys like Lance Dixon and Dallas Gant, both from Toledo. I think Dixon in particular has a chance to stick on the practice squad, and I think there's better depth there than the Eagles have had in the past. So let's see how they look. And then safety, the real important question for this team, with Drew Makuba banged up, doesn't sound like he's going to play. So you'll see some Sidney Brown. Can he be steady? Can he not make mistakes as he is in the pole position to start week 1 in the nickel? And then, do those other guys make any kind of impression? Tristan McCollum, Andre Sam, Maxon Hook, hard-hitting Maxon Hook. So we'll see how those guys look. Now, but I was, there he is. He saved me. I don't know what I was going to, there's no way I was going to go an hour.
You weren't going to make it an hour. I am very, very sorry. But look, we wanted to make sure that everything looked good, sounded good. So we're in good shape here.
You look great. That, of course, is the sound, the look of the great Fran Duffy. How's your Ospreys hangover, Fran?
Ospreys hangover is going well. First of all, just an unbelievable job by you. I want to make sure everyone that wasn't there last night, you can enjoy it tomorrow. It will be really fun to watch that back tomorrow afternoon at 2:00.
You know what, though? It's tough because I'm so used to being able to rewatch the show if I want to. And to have to wait a day and a half is like, oh, yeah, it's all playing up here.
Yeah. Oh, it was a great night. It was a beautiful send off. It was a great celebration, and great to be able to connect with so many in the community as well.
Great to see everybody. Really very touching. It's hard to really internalize that, in the middle of it happening, right? Because you're focused on the show. But I was very pleased with the energy in the crowd. Was fantastic. A lot of good reactions to the beats. That was nice. That was nice feedback. Very nice to meet everybody. It was a great evening.
Yes, no question.
You'll have to watch to the end to find out, A, did Zach cry? And B, what are the standout musical performances? Because there are several. So we look forward to the feedback on that. But it was a wonderful time. And of course, once again, shout out to Julia and the whole production team for making it happen. It was unbelievable. It was fantastic. All right, have you given any thought to this game tonight, Fran?
I've thought about it a little bit. Look, to me, I agree with your general stance that watching Kendall Lamb and Azeez Ojulari and Josh Uche, that doesn't do much for me in this game. But being able to see some of certainly the Miles Hintons and the Cameron Williamses and the McWilliams, those are the players that I am most excited to see. The Brandon Johnsons of the world. So being able to see all these guys, that's gonna be fun. This is the first time I'll be able to watch tape of all of them in Eagles green. I'm excited for that for tomorrow. So no, this is it's a good preseason. 1 is just the start of training camp where it's something new. And then you get to the end of the second preseason game. All right, I'm ready for the real stuff.
I said it's like the second quarter of the first game where it's
I'm excited for the start for tonight.
Excited for but then once you see it, and you're like, oh, this is not really the same thing.
Yeah, it is what it is, right? And you gotta walk before you can run.
It's a venue for player evaluation. That's what it is.
Yes, no question. It's one of those things too. It's nice to just kind of get into the routine again. All right, I get to print out my note sheet and I get to sit down, go through it. This is exactly how I do it. So it's preseason for everybody. We just gotta go through the paces.
That's true. I'm excited. Because I will not be going to games for the most part this season. I'll be hunkered down at the studio for the post game show, even for home games now. But I'm going to go tonight. So this and next week will be my last in-person games of the season, except for maybe the Super Bowl. We'll see.
Right. I was gonna say maybe so.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the rookies you want to watch tonight, or do you want to do the take a step back and who are the guys through camp so far who have moved the needle on the way you feel about them?
No, we can keep our focus on the game, and then we'll do the second part of that in the second half of the show. I think that to me, the other big part that you like to see and this carries through for all preseason games. So, honestly, it's the big thing to watch even as we go through next week against Cleveland and then rounding out against the Jets, is the guys that we've been talking about on a daily basis in practice, like, the Elijah Cookses and the Brandon Johnson, like carrying that over is a big part that's going to carry a lot of weight for them to try and see if they can actually stick with the 53 and stick with the practice squad, and try and get that future interest from the team. I think at the end of the day, we've all seen players that maybe they don't pop in practice, but then they show the flashes in the game, or vice versa. To me, especially for a guy like Elijah Cooks, we said if things are even with him and Johnny Wilson, it'll go to Johnny Wilson. I think that Elijah Cooks, he has to take that job, right? And so I think that at the end of the day, being able to watch, can he take over a game the way that he has shined in practice? That's definitely a big opportunity for him here too.
No doubt. And you think about the players like that. He is one. We've talked about Darius Cooper a little bit. I think he's in position to try to steal a job. I think even more uphill for him. I don't know. Like the offensive line is. I'm going to take a step back here. I have a take. Okay. And I've been thinking about the roster, and we've had this disappointing start for Drew Makuba because he can't get on the field, and it hasn't really changed the way I feel about the secondary. The fact that whether or not he's in, and it reinforces for me that, man, I would feel so much healthier about this roster if that second round pick had been an offensive lineman. Now, in this particular situation, it wasn't going to happen. The way that the draft fell, there was like a pocket there where if you look at it, like an offensive lineman didn't go the next 25 picks after Drew Makuba. But I think the ideal match of value there would have been somebody there, because I think about this offensive line too. Tyler Steen, I think we feel fine about. He is ready to be the starter. But there's nobody after him where you're really excited about. There's no one like Tyler Steen was when he was a rookie, where you're like, he doesn't need to play now, but we're excited to see him get on the field when he can get on the field. And, instead they've got Matt Pryor ticketed to be the top backup, probably. Could be Darian Kennard. Maybe Kendall Lamb makes the team as a swing tackle. Maybe Trevor Keegan pops and is a solid interior backup. But even if it wasn't an offensive lineman, I do feel like I really wish that second round pick had been somebody on offense. I feel like it would change the way I feel about the balance of the roster.
And there might be some people that are watching and listening that are saying like, oh, making something out of nothing. This is something we talked about draft weekend. This is something that we talked about in the moment, was just an ideal.
You got to pick who's there.
And the lead up as well. Was like, all right, like you don't want to go too heavily on defense just because just in terms of the balance of the roster. When I was working at Temple, we had and I know the other teams use this as well in college. It's called we called it a flow chart, where it's like you basically look at your depth chart, and it's like year over year projections, right? So you've got, we're looking at it for this year. All right, here's your 2025 team. Here's your 2026 team, your 2027, 2028. And you're building with like a 4 or 5 year plan out. And you're taking, like in college, it's like, these are the guys that run out of eligibility. With the NFL, you're looking at it from an age and a contract standpoint. So like, all right, like where is the depth on our team? Where's the talent on our team? 2, 3, 4 years down the line, it's an extremely young defense. It's getting a little bit older on it, so being able to backfill some of that elite talent, like elite talent on offense with some young players, you're hoping that some of those young guys at receiver and at offensive line can take that next step here this summer, because you didn't spend those high assets there. Like if you can get something out of Miles Hinton, like if Miles Hinton does look like the real deal, that would be huge to help that point that you're trying to make.
Well, that's exactly right. You're hoping for some guys to pop. But I do feel like I don't feel any differently about what the secondary is going to look like right now than I necessarily did at the start of camp, and not in terms of who's going to be out there, but in terms of my expectation for how good it's going to be. And it's not affected by the fact that Drew Makuba is probably not going to be on the field week 1. Whereas I wouldn't feel that way if it was a different position, sort of. And we said it at the time, the Drew Makuba pick, which was further from consensus than the Eagles typically have done in the first 3 rounds over the past few years is kind of how this draft is going to be judged, I feel. And they got to get that one right because they were going out on a limb. So
yes.
I mean, we got a very long runway. I'm not saying it was a bad pick. I'm just saying roster-wise, I would have felt better about a different position, I think.
Especially too, because you mentioned like they had their pick of the litter at safety when they made the Makuba selection, and there were still some safeties on the board from that perceived cluster. And again, perceived like externally, not we don't know what their grades were,
Sure.
but there were players from that cluster of that second tier of safeties that were available when they had that initial 3rd round selection when they traded out of that spot. And so it's good. It's going to be interesting to follow.
Yes. Okay. So that was all. I was thinking about that earlier today. Anyway, other rookies that we want to see pop. I think Mac McWilliams is a very interesting one tonight because you think about with Drew Makuba out right now, there is a spot for Mac McWilliams to win potentially if he really impresses Vic Fangio. Now we'll see how Jacorian Bennett gets worked into this whole thing. Cuz, who is very plugged in, is under the impression that he has a real chance to win that starting job. And that they have been pretty disappointed with Keely Ringo and Adoree Jackson so far. So we will see how that plays out. But you also told us, and I trust your eyes, that he's not really somebody who's going to be a factor inside Jacorian Bennett because of the way that he moves athletically. And so McWilliams, who's probably going to get more work on the outside tonight, I think. But if he really impresses Fangio and looks like he might be ready to play early on inside, then all of a sudden that changes the pieces that you have and where you want to put Cooper DeJean.
Yeah, I think that it then comes down to a matter of like, all right, like who does Vic Fangio have more faith in ultimately? Does he have more faith in Sidney Brown? Or does he have more faith in Mac McWilliams, right? In terms of trying to see like who's going to get on the field and where does Cooper DeJean kind of plug it in wherever that leak is. So it's going to be fascinating to see that play out now that McWilliams is healthy. Now that Makuba is healthy as well. Obviously, we're not planning on seeing him tonight, but that's going to be important to track as we get into joint practice against the Browns next week as well. Yeah,
what are your expectations for the joints?
These two teams have practiced against each other. It's like 2 of the last 4 summers, 2 of the last 5, something along those lines. They've always been good practices. So I'm excited for next week. I think that, look, the Browns don't have a great roster, right? But there's certainly some talent over on that side. So I'm expecting some good work next week.
Oh my gosh. I'm looking at the Browns roster. You know who's on their team?
Shedeur Sanders.
True. So far I count 2 ex-Eagles.
Okay.
But one of them is very important. DeAndre Carter.
Oh, wow. It all comes full circle.
DeAndre Carter's on the team. Oh, my gosh. We got to get him on the show.
I was going to say, I hope they make him available so you can talk to him.
I hope so, too. Cornelius Lucas is on the Browns.
Okay.
Who is one of the people who, unfortunately, did not respond to his cameo request.
So he's in the doghouse.
Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, ex-Eagle.
Okay, yep. He's hurt right now.
That might be it. What? Oh, they got Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And I think that might be it. Except, which Okwara did the Eagles have? Julian or the other one?
Romeo. They had Julian, right?
Yeah, Julian. So Julian Okwara is on them. So, okay, so that's 4 ex-Eagles. There you go. Very exciting stuff. Okay. Let's take a break, hear from some sponsors. We'll come back again. I have no idea what we're going to talk about the rest of the show, but there will be a show. We start with who else but our friends at Monarch Money. Because finances can be messy and confusing, Monarch Money acts like your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control so you can stop earning and start growing. It's more than your average budgeting app. Monarch Money is a complete financial command center for your accounts, investments, and goals. Don't just manage your money. Start building wealth with 50% off your first year for our listeners. If you think that managing your finances will help build you the life that you want, Monarch makes managing money simple. even for busy lives. With all of your accounts, credit cards, and investments in one place, you will always know where your money stands without the hassle. So track your spending, savings, and investments effortlessly so you can focus on what matters most, making your biggest life goals a reality. Monarch Money is the finance tool people actually love. Named the Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025, the top recommended personal finance app by users and experts with over 30,000 five-star reviews. Bottom line, get control of your overall finances with Monarch Money. Use code PHLY at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code PHLY.
Well, now hear from our friends over at TrueMark Financial because, believe it or not, back to school season just around the corner. Francis is starting school, which means we are starting to get to our pack list. What are the things we got to go out? We got to get all the back to school shopping done. So it's lunch boxes and book bags and binders and all the school supplies we need. So the best thing about this, because look, we all know we have to go through it. The best thing about it though is knowing, like, all right, you got your TrueMark Financial Credit Union debit card. They get rewards on that thing. So every time I swipe my card and I choose credit on purchases, whether it's the new planner, if it's headphones for his laptop, or just the much needed everyday essentials, we are earning points here at home. And those points, I can redeem them for cash, gift cards, travel, merchandise, and more. I've already got my eye on a gift card that'll come in handy for fall shopping. It's a simple way to get rewarded for buying the things that I already need. If you are already a TrueMark Financial Credit Union member, be sure to check out your debit card benefits before you hit the stores or start shopping online. If you're not a member yet, now's a great time to join. Just stop by one of TrueMark Financial's 24 branches or visit TrueMark.com to open an account. TrueMark Financial Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
All right, back on the PHLY Eagles podcast. All right, let's do the game that we've said we were going to do for a while now, Fran. You can start. Tell me somebody who has changed your opinion of them over the past 2 weeks of camp, whether for good or for bad.
For me, I mean, it's got to be Elijah Cooks is number one.
Yeah,
while I think that, Moro Ojomo has had like the most impactful camp and it's probably like the biggest headline. But I was really high on Moro Ojomo coming in and had high expectations already. And so in terms of like who moved the needle the most, I mean, Elijah Cooks went from essentially being an afterthought for me to someone that I think right now, like if the final roster cut down was tomorrow, my gut would be I'd be penciling Elijah Cooks in there. And so, yeah, I would say Elijah Cooks has moved the needle most for me.
I think that's a very good one. If for whatever reason, boy, would it be bizarre if this is the first episode of training camp you've been following. But we should say Elijah Cooks, someone who has been in the league before, but not for very long. 6'4", he's got some size, more speed than I think we anticipated in terms of his ability to separate downfield. And the biggest thing has been contested catches, which he has made consistently, but also I think some surprisingly crisp routes in intermediate areas and short areas. He's been very good in the red zone, for instance.
Right.
So he uses his body well. And if you are looking for somebody with actual offensive upside, as opposed to, being a good blocker like Johnny Wilson, or maybe giving you a different kind of chess piece that you can use on, end arounds or put in the slot like a Nia Smith, but a true option to potentially turn into a playable wide receiver should you have games where A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith are injured. I think Elijah Cooks has looked like he is the only one after the top three who really provides that.
What do you want to see from him tonight, next week against Cleveland, and we'll say against the Jets in preseason 3?
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, like with everybody, I think the joint practices may matter more. But my expectation is that, like, given the way that Tanner McKee plays in preseason games, we will see him get a couple chances to win downfield and on some contested catches. So if he can carry that over, I think that would be really nice to see. Just more of the same. I don't think we need to see a ton. Just looking like he has more juice than the guys he's competing with. Is there anything specific for you?
Yeah, I mean, if he's active on special teams, that will go a long way.
Sure.
And don't be a bad blocker. He doesn't need to be as good a blocker as Johnny Wilson.
Yeah.
As long as he's like a solid blocker, And I think I just think he's ahead of Johnny Wilson as a receiver right now, relatively the same age. So it's like, all right,
Yeah.
what are we talking about in terms of overall upside? If he can do more, quote unquote, in terms of like the special teams aspect and can still check the box as a blocker, that'll go a long way.
I agree. All right, I'll give you some credit for my next one because you were on it early. And I think if you go back, I think when we did a 53-man projection in the spring, I think I had Gabe Hall on the roster.
Yeah,
I just want to say,
yeah,
I mean, I gotta say it. So it wasn't crazy to me that he might take this leap, but boy, did he take that leap. I mean, it's been very impressive to see, and so much so that the Eagles felt that Thomas Booker was expendable. I think that Gabe Hall is not just going to make this team. I think he's going to get some snaps on this defense.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see what he looks like over these couple preseason games, just because the flashes have been really impressive. I mentioned like last year, you saw the length and you saw the movement, you saw the athleticism. You're like, all right, there is something to work with here, but he's just not ready to play yet. It wasn't like a complete project. Like he played at Baylor, he played extensive football there in the Big 12, but he was not ready for prime time yet in the NFL. This year, like he looked stronger. He looked like just a little bit, more complete in terms of how he filled out his lower half. And then his hands looked so much faster, just in the one or two practices that we saw, even just with uppers on with you. Because I think I brought this up even before. I think it was right after the first day of Pats where I felt strongly about this. It was like his hands looked so good, so much better from what we saw a year ago. So, I'm excited to see what Gabe Hall looks like here over these next couple games.
I said before you came on, I feel like the positions that matter the most to me for the preseason games are linebacker and safety. Yep. The positions because you don't get to see them tackle full in camp, and you want to see how they actually react to what they're seeing in front of them. And it's harder to evaluate that in camp. Do you feel that way, or is there a position that you think like would you rather watch the actual linemen see how they go full speed? What matters more to you?
I would put all of them in the same tier, honestly, because to me, like, once we get into like, all right, we're really blocking you, it's like the Jalen Carter, Saquon Barkley argument from last week, where it's like, oh, like if I'm really trying to tackle you, like I'm getting you down, like being able to see all of these guys really kind of go full bore, to me, like watching the line of scrimmage and O-line, D-line is just as important here in these preseason games.
So then would you say wide receiver corner is the least important?
Yeah, because I feel like while it's not while it's not a full game speed and I think that's the most replicable to what we're seeing. So while you'd like to see it carry over from practice to the game, I feel like we get more from those guys in practice from our eyes on from our vantage point on the sideline than what we get with the line of
relative to what we would. Exactly. I see. Okay, who would be next on your list?
I'm going to go the other way with someone who's negative. And honestly, I probably should have used this guy first because coming in, this was a guy I thought had a chance to start. And now I don't think he's going to be on the practice squad. And that's Quinyon Green. He came over with the trade. CJ Gardner-Johnson going to Houston. The Eagles get the former first-round pick in Green. And it's not that like, oh, man, like he's been so bad in practice. Like he started off hurt. He was with the threes all spring, as you had alluded to. He's been with the threes and the twos here this summer. Once he got healthy, he's only been working at left guard. The fact that he hasn't gotten like a sniff of being able to work with that first unit, making all right, like it's Steen's job. But the fact that they're not even like moving him around, like I don't know. There's just to me, my antenna are up. I'm excited to see what he looks like. He of the vets, he's the one I do want to see tonight.
I agree with that.
To see what that looks like. But I was excited about the acquisition. I thought that there was real upside there, but he would be a guy that, in terms of what my expectations were coming into camp to what they are now, it's very, very different.
I agree with that, and it reminds me of Matt Hennessy from last year. Remember, like they signed Matt Hennessy, you're thinking, okay, this is a guy who's gonna compete for a roster spot, probably has a good chance to make the team or stick around. And for whatever reason, he was just stuck with the threes all summer. And you're thinking, okay, well, maybe it's because Stout's seen enough of him. He doesn't need to see him move around. Like, and he wasn't even really taking snaps at center. It was just kind of a weird situation. And then he didn't make the team. He never really got a shot. And that's the way that it's been trending for Quinyon Green. So I don't know what the reason for that is, but it does feel like that's the way it's trending.
Yeah. You know what I was thinking? I was listening to you and Zach one of the episodes earlier this week, and you referenced the Vic Fangio, Adoree Jackson, like quote from last week, where he's like, "Oh, like I didn't watch tape of him," like that kind of thing. And the difference between Vic, his like input with like a draft selection versus free agency. So I started thinking about this. You know, the Super Bowl, like the Super Bowl happens, you get the celebration. Right after that is like you have your exit meetings with players, you have that immediate QC. Coaches will have a little bit of time off, but scouts, like the pro department, personnel department, you are already like hit the ground running. I don't know like what the coaches' roles were when it came to like free agency this year in terms of being able to get, because those guys were going to the combine like 2 weeks after the parade. And that's a mix of free agency in the draft, but I don't know how much film of impending free agents Vic Fangio and the defensive staff were watching going into it. So thinking about that with the Quinyon Green.
No, it's a very good point. And you would also think, from Vic Fangio's perspective, where's my time going to be better spent? Like veterans are more known commodities. Right. He has some familiarity with them from when they entered the league, or having seen them over the years, and there's less projection. You probably trust your pro scouts. There is less mystery about those guys than with college players, where it's much more projection, and what Vic thinks and how he in terms of how he envisions using them will matter more.
Right. Exactly. And it's more important. Honestly, look, the especially if you're talking about a player assigning like Adoree Jackson, you would want Vic's stamp of approval if you're giving a contract out to, say, a Bryce Huff level of acquisition. But if it's going to be like a 1-year stopgap type of situation, yeah, I'd rather him be watching Jihaad Campbell than Adoree Jackson.
But even Bryce Huff, you're like, okay, we're giving this guy can rush the passer for you. I'm signing you a $15 million or more than that. Like, here you go. And Vic's like, I don't know about that. But yeah, I think that's a fair point. The timing probably did.
I think the timing this year in particular is notable.
I will go another one here on the downside, and I think we've even talked about him in this capacity. But Azeez Ojulari, and I guess my expectations were a little bit lower after doing the Fran's film room in the spring with you. Where we were watching, and even then you could see that he wasn't really moving quite the same way that he did when he came out of Georgia, but you still thought, okay, this guy's 25 years old. His like per rush, pass rush numbers are still pretty good. There's real reason to believe he's also the guy they gave the most money to of all of the guys they added this offseason. And he just hasn't flashed at all so far. And he's a player who I don't really care what he looks like tonight. I would rather see it more in practice, in the joint practices especially, but right now I don't see a lot of fire off the edge from Azeez Ojulari at all.
Yeah, I mean the big thing I guess you would want, because we're probably going to see him tonight, the biggest thing you want to look for is like, all right, is there like what's the juice look like at all? But even still, I know I'm talking myself in circles there. Even still, like a player like that, a player who's been around, he might not be like going full bore unless he feels like his roster spot's in jeopardy, right? Like if he feels like, hey, I'm playing for a job, then I got to make sure I'm going 100%. But some guys, some vets will also save themselves during preseason.
Yeah. All right, you got any more? Do one more each?
Yeah, I got another one. I got a few that we can.
Okay, let's keep going.
For me, let's go with Smile Munden. Obviously, look, this is a day 3 pick, a mid-round selection. The big thing when you're looking at Munden, because I watched him his final 3 years at Georgia. This is a guy that was a starter pretty early in his career. And I remember watching him as a sophomore going into his junior year in case he were to declare and thinking like, all right, like the tools are there. This he's got length. He's got athleticism. He can rush the quarter. He can blitz off from the second level. He can play against the run. He's got some tools and coverage. There's a lot to get excited about. And I remember watching him after his junior year going into his senior year. I'm like, all right, like let's see what we got. I was like, all right, like looks like the same player. Hasn't he taken a huge step? I think he was banged up that junior year. Like, all right, let's see what he looks like as a senior. And then I watched him again this offseason. And I was like, all right, like kind of the same. And it was like solid play. Like he checked a lot of boxes, but I was always kind of like left wanting. And so seeing him here now this summer, he's been really good. I mean, and it's pretty clear that the coaches have a lot of faith in him because they're throwing him into the fire. You know, I mentioned the anecdote the other day about Bobby King and Zack Baun taking Smile Munden and Jihaad Campbell off to the side during individual, and those guys kind of working, you know, together on their own, aside from the rest of the group. I think that they seem invested in Smile Munden's development, and I think he's probably earned that with what he's doing in the meeting room. That's the one marker for that is like, all right, like he's going through the paces in the right way, away from practice as well, to earn that kind of respect. So to me, I'm looking at Munden and say, all right, like, did they find the secret sauce, or is it going to click for him where that potential that we saw early on in his career at Georgia to earn that early playing time? If they can get that guy, because that guy looked like a future first or second round pick. Munden obviously fell to the middle stages of day 3. I'm excited for what he can look like here in game action.
Yeah, it was interesting. The book I heard on Munden in terms of how the team felt about him internally after the draft was like, if this was the year when we were starting Nate Geary at linebacker, this guy would probably start for us day one. He's ready to go.
Yeah.
And he's been so like they expected. This is like a low level starting caliber player right away. But I think he has looked like he has more upside than I expected. Yeah. Yeah. As for all the reasons that you outlined. Yeah. I think, you know, there's maybe more ceiling there than we thought. So I think that's a fair one.
Yeah.
All right, I will go with another Georgia player then, and I'm going to go on the downside. And I want to pick on a guy when he's down, but Lewis Cine, I think we wanted to see this guy's he's going to look good athletically, and it's kind of like the Quinyon Green situation where it hasn't really even been anything that Lewis Cine has or hasn't done, although he's injured at the moment. It's just that he's been buried. A couple days ago, I think he started getting some reps with the twos, and he actually had one good day that you called out, Fran.
Yes.
And then he got hurt. But before that, I mean, he was lingering just with the third team, and he's behind Andre Salmon, Tristan McCollum, and it felt like one where this was like a Howie thinks, Vic thinks kind of deal, where, you know, this is a guy, first round pick, we got to keep him around, give him a shot, and Vic just doesn't see it at all. But I thought there was going to be a little bit more. I thought he was going to be more involved than he has been.
Yeah, it's he had that one day where he was pretty active, but it's been pretty quiet since, and the injury certainly has not helped matters.
Okay, do you want to do one more and we'll go to break?
Yeah, let's do one more. As a nod to our friend Saquon Barkley. No, I'm not gonna do Saquon. Let's go.
Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the problem is, like, I would go, you know, Darius Cooper because I had no opinion on. Now I have a positive opinion. Brandon Johnson, you know.
Yeah, I was gonna say your guy. Yeah, you gotta do Brandon Johnson.
Like these guys, but I feel like that's different.
Okay.
Because I didn't. I had no opinion of those guys.
Right. You know, this one isn't like he changed my opinion, but I think that what we've seen has been positive, and I'm excited to see what it looks like in games like now that he's actually gonna hit. AJ Dillon. Like where it was like, I don't know, like we'll see what it looks like. I'm not gonna get my hopes up. I wasn't expecting like a Jordan Howard type of role and like effectiveness, right? But that's what you're kind of hoping for. But I was cautious. The guy coming on, you know, with limited athletic upside, coming off of the injury that he had last year, where he missed the entire season. You're getting him off the street for pennies on the dollar. Yeah, like there was reason for cautious, for cautious thinking going into the camp, but. I like what I've seen so far from Dillon. He's gotten some mix in certain packages down in the goal line and red zone. He's getting work with the ones. So I'm interested to see what Dillon could look like here tonight.
Okay, I think that's fair. I have one other one for you. Someone who I don't think we've talked about really at all this summer. And that is Grant Calcaterra. And
yeah, we haven't talked about Grant Calcaterra.
Here's the thing that I would say about Grant Calcaterra. Entering camp, you think, okay, Harrison Bryant, Kylan Granson, EJ Jenkins, Cameron Latu, Nick Musa. That's a lot of tight ends. There's a chance that somebody comes and takes his job as the number 2 tight end.
Yeah.
And that hasn't even come close to happening. And not just because nobody else is working in with the ones when they're in 12 personnel. I think Grant Calcaterra's looked pretty good. And probably has looked better than all of those guys. So I give Grant Calcaterra credit. I think he's I think he's warded off the challengers here to be the number 2 tight end.
Water gun to your pinky toe. Tight end 3 right now. I mean, you still have 12 days until August 19th, Harrison Bryant Day.
Yeah, I know. You know what? Honestly, as I look at it, like if I was Howie Roseman, why carry a third tight end? Is kind of how I feel, because you're gonna get
Johnny Wilson.
You're gonna get 2 of these guys in the practice squad probably.
Right.
Do I need a third? Like, do I need to guarantee Harrison Bryant a contract, or Kylan Granson? Like, you know how I feel about EJ Jenkins, but I don't think he's taken a step forward from last year.
Yeah.
And you're gonna get him on the practice squad. Same with Muse and Latu. I feel like you could borrow from that position.
You're going to scoff here, but also like considering if Ben Van Sumeren's on the team as well.
But that fills that special teams role, right?
Yes, correct. And he's your heavy package like third player,
right? Yeah, and I also don't. I mean, again, I don't know that he's guaranteed.
I know that's why I said you're going to scoff at that. Yes.
That's kind of how I feel. How about you?
I think if you had to keep one of those guys, to me, Granson has been the one that has popped most, but that also could be like, that's who had the pole position for me coming in. You guys were famously, Bryant and I was team Granson. That's who, I mean, you guys connected so well over that. It's like one of the biggest things you agreed on all off season. But Granson has been the one to me that's like kind of differentiated, but he is very similar to Calcaterra. Like they're similar body type and skill set. So you could convince me that it's not worth keeping him as well.
I remain a little bit mystified that they didn't add an undrafted tight end. Like, doesn't make any sense. They got all these guys. You know, I guess maybe you think that Cameron Latu is filling that role, but like, you know, Goddard's on the last year of his deal. Calcaterra's on the last year of his deal. We couldn't have a McAllen Castles here just to take a look.
McAllen, it's great. That's a great pull. I mean, that's the thing, is that you have a former 3rd round pick in Latu, a former 4th round pick in Granson, a former 4th round pick in your guy and Harrison Bryant. Like, you have guys with draft capital. Throw a bunch of darts and see if one of them is able to hold on the board.
Okay. All right, time to take a break. Hear from some sponsors. Then we'll tell you about the Dudette Dental sweepstakes that's going on, and we'll close with some final thoughts. Maybe some over-unders for tonight. We start with our friends, our dear friends, our friends from the beginning, Bet365. Because Bet365 has 90 million users worldwide, and they live stream over 780,000 events each year. With early payout offers across the NBA and NHL, Bet365 pioneered live in-game betting, and today, Bet365 offers the widest range of games and markets available for live in-game betting across 78 sports. New customers can get not $100, $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5, win or lose. Sign up, use the code PHLY365, deposit $10 and place a bet for $5 to get that $150 in bonus bets. Once again, win or lose. Breaking news for Bet365, new customers, $150 when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use the code PHLY365, deposit $10 and place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets. If your bet wins or loses, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
We'll now hear from our friends over at Empire Today, because just like your favorite team needs that home court, that home field, or that home ice advantage, your home needs a home floor advantage, and Empire Today can help you get it. Empire Today has flooring experts that are dedicated flooring professionals. They focus on flooring every single day. We've all been to those big box stores. You walk in, it's big, it's cavernous. You wander these endless aisles. You're going through, you're not sure where to go. Somehow you're hauling out all these materials that you had to pick out on your own, looking on your phone, going through the material list. You're looking for an installer. You got to call. You got to schedule the appointment. They come out 3 weeks because they're backed up. You got supply chain issues, all this stuff. You don't have to do that. all they have to do is call up Empire Today. Because why are they the best bet for your new floor? They live and breathe flooring, so you know that they're going to be with you every step of the way, and you're getting that expert advice. It's a whole different ball game. Not only that, but they bring the flooring from the store right to your front door. You get all the right colors for your spaces. You see how everything matches up with your furniture in your home. You get those precise measurements taken, and they've got all your questions answered right there, so there are no surprises. Schedule a free in-home estimate today, because some things are just better at home. PHLY listeners can receive a $350 discount when using the promo code PHLY. Yes, you heard that right. A $350 discount with the code PHLY. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday.com/PHLY for full details.
Reminds me, Fran, one of the great pops last night was for your Empire Today read.
Thank you. There was that came to me as we were as I was waiting for Zach to finish up. I was like, oh, this would be a good one to squeeze.
That was very funny.
Thank you.
All right, before we get going, the Dudat Dental Bright Smile Sweepstakes. Your reminder to enter the sweepstakes, because every week we are giving away a Philips teeth whitening home kit to a lucky winner. And then at the end of the month, we've got the grand prize winner taking home an Oral-B IO toothbrush, top of the line tech for your teeth. Entering is easy. All you have to do is go to allphly.com/Dudat Dental Group, fill out the entry form, and you are eligible for both prizes. That's it. No purchase necessary, but don't wait too long. The sweepstakes runs now through August 29th. Weekly winners will be selected throughout the sweepstakes, and the grand prize announcement comes at the end of the contest period. Full sweepstakes rules and eligibility can be found at allphly.com/Dudat Dental Group. Must be 18 or older. Terms and conditions apply. All right. I'm going to give you a couple over-unders. I'm going to make them up on the spot here. You ready?
Yeah. Yep.
For tonight.
Okay.
Over-under 1.5 penalties on Cameron Williams.
Under.
Okay.
Playing time.
Okay, fair enough. Over-under, let's say 2.5 catches for Elijah Cooks.
Ooh. I'm going to take the over, because I feel like there's a couple guys banged up at receiver. And I know they've brought some players in, but I'll take the over. Say a big night for Elijah Cooks.
For E. Cooks? Okay.
4 catches,
I like that.
4 catches, 53 yards, and a score. I like the specificity that you and ZB outlined yesterday for a potential Elijah Cooks touchdown.
There you go.
Slant route, 4 yards. You said a corner route from the slot receiver to clear it out. I like that.
Yeah, that's what we've seen a few times.
Yeah.
Usually it's trying to take Brandon Johnson out of the way.
You can only try to contain him, you know.
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to complete the ball on him, so you might as well have him vacate the space. Okay, let's go. Let's go 13.5 yards, the longest run for Shunderick Powell.
I'll take the over. Yeah, I'll take the over. He's got some. We know that Shunderick Powell's got some juice. He's had a couple long runs here this summer, and I think that offensive line can get to work a little bit. We'll take the over.
Okay. How about who throws more passes, Dorian Thompson-Robinson or Kyle McCord?
I'm going to go Kyle McCord. I think that they'll probably see an equal share of playing time would be my guess. But if you're going to say, all right, with DTR, you potentially get some more scrambles in there. So even if they have the same amount of dropbacks, I don't think that McCord will scramble as much. So let's go with McCord, more pass attempts.
Over under 10 yards, the longest reception for Will Shipley.
Under. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, it's could happen. I feel like we've seen running backs involved in the pass game a decent amount this summer. But I don't think that they will bust any of that out for preseason.
Okay. Let's say over under. Who else is there? Over under 5 yards receiving for Giles Jackson.
5 yards receiving? Oh,
Yeah.
give me that. That's easy. This is like we're doing that like this is like a best bet on the kick on the on our pregame show. Yeah, I'll take the over. Giles Jackson, he's flashed a little bit.
Yeah, I don't mind him.
Yeah,
Slot player. Okay.
of the Giles Jackson, Taylor Morin.
Is it Giles or Giles?
I go back and forth, so I'm right half the time. Of those two, I mean, obviously Cooper has flashed the most of a similar kind of archetype. He's got more straight line juice, I think, than those guys. But who has moved the needle more for you, Morin or Jackson?
Probably Jackson.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, I'm in the tank for the Deke, but I've been underwhelmed by Taylor Morin, to be honest.
Agree.
How about over under 2 catches for Johnny Wilson?
I think I took the over on Cooks. I'm going to take the over on Wilson. I just because I think this is a spot that is actually up for grabs. So I think they're going to give both guys plenty of opportunity. So I will play it safe and I will take the over on both.
Over under 24.5 yards. Longest completion by Tanner McKee.
24.5 is a good number. The books really did their work on this one. I'm going to say under. I'm not going to say
like smarter
a
huge
explosive play.
Smarter bet, yeah.
But I will take the under there. Especially, I mean, I'm assuming it sounds like the Bengals are going to be playing starters. So
yeah, true.
You know, I don't know that Jamar Chase is going to be out there, but I would imagine that a good chunk of their starting defense will be out there. And Al Golden, they're not giving up explosives.
Okay. All right. How about over under 10 snaps played for Jihaad Campbell?
10 snaps?
Yeah.
I think the over. I think that Vic Fangio want to get him work. You know, especially just considering the fact that they are throwing him in multiple positions in practice. I think that they want to get him as many game reps as possible. I think the area where physically he could play right now. I think the big thing that they want to check that box is the key and diagnose, mental processing early in the down, just seeing as many of those game reps as possible is very important for Jihaad Campbell. And so I think that those reps are going to be very important for him.
Who plays more snaps? McWilliams or Keely Ringo? That's kind of easy.
McWilliams. Yeah, I think McWilliams should play more, would be my guess. I mean,
do you think Ringo will play?
Yeah, I think so, right?
I would hope so.
Yeah, I would think that he would play.
Okay.
What do you make of the fact that, I mean, it doesn't sound like we're expecting to see too many of the starter defensively, which is the opposite of last year. What do you make of that change?
I think they're not new to the scheme anymore. Vic knows them, so there's a little bit less need for it.
Yeah.
They're also coming off the Super Bowl, so you played more snaps. It makes sense to me. I don't know how angry Vic is about it. I
feel like too, they, you know, and this could be anecdotal, and you correct me if you disagree. I feel like they've been a little, they practiced a little harder this year in terms of duration of practice, more Pat,
a little bit. I think a little bit.
You know, I feel like those guys have not gone harder. That's not the right way. You know what I'm saying though. I feel like they've been out there a little bit more this year and have not been as as cautious and laid back. So maybe it's some give and take. Hey, don't play the guys in the preseason. We'll try and get them as much work as we can in practice, kind of deal. But that could be anecdotal. I could be completely wrong there.
That feels close to right. It's a good one, whether it's true or not.
We'll call it.
It's people will believe it. Yeah. Okay, let me think of one more. How about over under half a sack for Gabe Hall, Byron Young, Ty Robinson, all combined?
Gabe Hall, Ty Robinson, and Byron Young combined. I'll take the over there. I think one of those guys. That group's been fun to watch. More so Hall and Robinson than Young. I think Young. I think one of my comparisons for him was Marlon Tuipulotu when he was coming out.
So they waived Tuipulotu to get Byron Young.
Yes, right. And I just I never saw the huge upside there. I was surprised that he went as early as he did when the Raiders took him in the third round a couple years ago. But yeah, I would say I'll take the over there for those guys.
Okay. Davis Covey wants to know, who do you think will be the Eagles MVP tonight?
Let's call it
Tanner McKee.
Let's go Elijah Cooks.
Okay.
Well, I don't think he's going to play that much. You're not going to be. He's not going to be the MVP. I guess if I'm saying Cooks though, Cooks
It's
could be
the whole
playing
first
with me.
half, maybe. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, the valid point.
Okay. There is a super chat from Quinn who says, "Post the Ospreys video, please and thank you." That's coming up tomorrow, 2:00, baby. The whole thing. Maybe I'll jump in the chat. We'll see. That's all.
I'll jump in the chat. I'll be in there.
Okay. Now I gotta say ahead of time, we are not the one little final nod to Zach that we will do. We're not doing overtime today. No one's doing it. We're not even saying it. We're just going to close the show right at an hour. So just so everybody knows, cutting it clean. But we've still got, I believe, 5 more minutes. So that's okay. 2:00, Dutchy. That's when the Ospreys will go up tomorrow. Okay. You got anything else that that's on your mind?
No, not too much. I mean, I'm excited to say. Did you see the CJ Gardner-Johnson injury news today?
I did. That's too bad, huh? Never want to see that.
Yeah, it's a shame. No. Rashawn Slater apparently went down. That got carted off. That was right before we went live. Well, you were live. I was waiting to get on. Like, it looks serious. Like, left leg carted off kind of deal, which would be very unfortunate for the Chargers and for Slater, obviously.
That's too bad.
That'd be a big one.
You never want to see that. Tyler wants to know, Fran, he is a fantasy football keeper question. Jaden Daniels in the 12th or BJT, I guess that's Brian Thomas Jr. in the 9th?
I think I would rather do. Well, I'd want to know who else. There's sliding scales there in terms of who else you could also keep, I guess. I tend to think Daniels. I think that's the better value with him at 12. Only because I feel. I mean, you could make the argument for either. It's one of those things where I would want to know the rest of the league. Like, is the scarcity going to be at quarterback? Is the scarcity going to be at receiver? Who else are you able to keep on the rest of your roster? Like, there's some other stuff in there. You could swing me either way, though. You could swing me either way.
He says just one keeper
from rounds 4 and later. Okay.
I think I'd take the receiver. You can always get you get a quarterback.
Yeah, I think honestly, my strategy with fantasy in recent years has been like, I want to have an elite quarterback. I've gone away from like doing like the streaming thing. And I do think that Daniels has that ability to be like one of the elite quarterbacks in fantasy this year. I mean, in basically all of my leagues, I end up with either Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson. And like I said, I think Daniels can be in that group because of what he can do as a runner. So that's why I initially default to that. But you could, like I said, you could swing me the other way.
Okay. I have not even begun to think about fantasy football yet.
You've been pretty busy over the last couple weeks.
Well, that's fine.
Can I ask you this question?
Of course.
So you said like last week, you're like, oh, I got so much work to do for the Ospreys. How long? Like, when did a semblance of last night's like rundown, like everything, like really like come together? Like, how long did it take?
Okay, good question. Well, here, one thing I will say is there was one thing that I wanted to do that was going to take a lot of work that I got like 60% of the way done on and realized it wasn't going to be good enough to be worth it. And it was also going to make the show a lot longer. So it's
that we got done in 2.5 hours.
It's a project that I may pick up again.
Oh.
But maybe so. I will not say it yet because I think I might return to it. I would say so. I'm building out the assets. I don't think it's a spoiler to say that there are several cameos. Like the cameos I had to get ahead on. Give the people time to respond. So that was a couple weeks ago. And there are a couple other pieces. So like the run of show, and credit to Julia and all the production people for getting it all together. That stuff, like most of the assets I sent late last week. The run of show I sent to Julia Monday morning, which left the writing of Zach's speech and the intro. And I was talking to Rachel about, like, I didn't do the intro until the night before.
I was wondering when you got midnight. Those things done. Yes.
Because that's just on. I can postpone what I have to do.
Yeah, right.
And also, I would rather procrastinate. That's just the way that I live. So I don't know. I'm trying to think of the other things that were in there but the sickos pulled their weight.
Oh, no
big
question.
deal. No doubt about
it. Was, like I said, I'm excited to watch back tomorrow.
And then I think another no spoiler. I think Zach's video, Ethan didn't complete until like hours before.
Yep.
So
it's good. Very worth the watch. Make sure anyone that wasn't there, make sure you tune in tomorrow at 2:00.
And anybody that was there, tune in at 2:00 because I think you'll be even more likely to tune in.
Yes. To be
able to rewatch. Okay. That's going to do it for this episode of the PHLY Eagles podcast. We will have a live post-game pod, but like a 15-minute version of big takeaways with Zach from the press box after the game tonight as a recap. And then tomorrow is the Ospreys. We'll have you covered for the weekend practices and then back in studio on Monday. Looking forward to it all. Thanks to Tyler for making this show happen. Thank you to Fran for stepping in eventually. And we will talk to you later. And as always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.